Hi everyone, welcome back to my French channel, Learn French with Atya. In this video, we'll be starting with some new concepts and their exercises. So our first topic is ça va. So topic is basically lesson. Okay? Now in French, we call lesson or we write lesson like this. Okay? So leçon 1 means one. If you haven't watched my first video, please do watch it because it has covered most of the things we are going to study in this video. So it will be very helpful for you because I've explained all of them in a lot of detail in my previous video. So great. We're going to begin now. Okay, what do I mean by ça va? Ça va is basically asking somebody how he or she is. Now, we don't really use it with everyone. By everyone, I mean that we don't use it for like person of every age, a person we know, we don't know. So if you know the person really well and he or she is younger or equal to you, you're gonna use ça va. But the person is like elder to you or it's somebody who you don't know, then you're gonna use comment allez-vous or comment ça va. Okay. But they usually prefer using comment allez-vous to use it with an adult who isn't a close friend, and for comment ça va they use it with a young person who you don't know well. Okay, now so my lesson objectives would be to say how I feel and ask about other people that how they feel, and to use the correct spelling of some adjectives because we have some particular rules for adjectives and we won't be studying a lot about them but some basics which would really help you right now. Okay, now asking someone how they are, it's something I literally just told you right now. So there are three ways of asking this question. Ça va is to use it with a friend who is usually like younger or elder to you, or he's like really close to you. Okay, and somebody you know really well. And como ça va is to we can use it with a person who we don't really know well and he's younger to us. Now como allez-vous is to use with an adult who is not a close friend. Now using verbs, what are verbs? They're doing verbs. Now doing words, for example, if I say I like running, so running is a verb. All right, because I'm doing an action over here. So like writing, eating, running, all of them are verbs. Of course, we studied all of them in English, right? So they are same. Now, learning to use French verbs is extremely important because regular verbs follow patterns. So you have to learn those patterns and then you can conjugate these verbs, right? And there's some verbs who do not follow any pattern. So we call those verbs as irregular verbs. That means, as the name suggests, that their pattern is not regular, right? So we have studied more about this in my first video, so please do check that out. Okay, now to talk about how you're feeling and to talk about how you're feeling, you can use the verb être, which means to be, and this word is also an irregular verb, but this is one of the most important words in French, right? Now look at how it works. So je suis, tu es, il est, elle est. That means all of these second verbs in this one, they come from the word être. Just that être is conjugated according to the pronouns behind them. Okay, now because it's an irregular verb, we cannot see any pattern over here. But if it would have been any regular verb, then you would have seen a pattern. Like if you take the verb avoir, you can check it out in my previous video. It follows a particular pattern of conjugation of regular IR verbs. Now I've already explained all of this in my previous video, so do check that out. Now je suis means I am, tu es means you are, il est is he is, elle est is she is. Now we can use être to describe somebody's nationality or how you're built. By how you are built, I mean how tall you are or like that. Okay, now using adjectives describing words. Now in French, the spelling of an adjective often changes depending on the person or the thing you're describing. That means if a person is male, male or female, according to that. For example, some of them have an extra E at the end to show that they're describing a girl or woman. By that I mean feminine. So there's this word fatigue. Okay, this word means to be sick. Oops. To be sick. So we add an extra E if I have to say that a woman is sick. Alright. Now come to the pronunciation of these words. So the cedilla mark under the letter C. By cedilla mark I mean this mark over here. The one we put over here. This one. Okay. So if we have the letter C behind the letter C with the cedilla mark behind the letters A, O, U or E and I, that C will sound like an S. So over here, it won't be le con, but it will be le son. Okay, because we have an O after it. So like that, if you have any vowel, English vowel that is A, E, I, O, U after it, it will sound like an S. Okay, we can also listen to the sound of the letter E with an accent, for example, in the word fatigue. So add something, like to study or have an example. Now, in this book, the best thing is that, every explanation, every question has a translation in English. So you won't be like, feeling lost over here. That's the best thing. Now, écoute, écris le bon lettre A to F et désigne le bon symbole. Listen, write the correct letter and draw the correct symbol. By symbol, I mean this. That means you have to read all the sentences and look at what they mean. Is either like sad or okay, or they're like happy. So, for example, one F. That means this one, ça va mal. So this is sad, right? Ça va mal. Mal is not to feel okay. That's what mal means. So that's why we're going to put a sad face around it. Okay, so like that we have to go from A to E because F is already done. So ça va bien, merci, et vous? That means I am good, thank you, and you? So it's a smiley because a person is good. Now ça va super bien. By super, it's not the super of English, but it means very, okay, or really. So you're gonna say again a smiley. Now, ça va très mal. Aujourd'hui. Okay, so that means I am very, or I'm very down or like not okay today. Aujourd'hui is today. Note it down. It's important because we're going to learn some new words today. So yeah, I would suggest you all to keep a notebook with you or a sheet of paper where you can write down all this new vocabulary, right? And then later you can copy all of this in your proper notebook with a good handwriting, so that next time you study it, yeah, it will be helpful, of course. So this would be sad because that person isn't doing well. How would that person be like happy or something? Buff, pamal. Buff is a word like alas or bravo in English to express like when you're not really concerned for a person, or you're not really bothered and be like, oh, buff, pamal, I'm sick, I'm not feeling okay. So that is also sad. Comme si comme ça. Comme si comme ça means so. So by so I'm going to do this one because it's neither happy nor sad, right? Okay, now all of these opinions for you might differ, so it doesn't have, this exercise doesn't really have a correct answer, but if it differs, if your answer differs, don't really worry. Okay, now we don't really have to do this exercise, yeah, but of course we have some new vocabulary to discuss. I know some of it might be familiar to you because we studied in my previous video over here in this exercise and over here as well, but still it's really important for us to discuss it. So ça va means how are you? Ça va. So basically, if you put a question mark, it will be a question, and if you do not put a question mark and you put a full stop instead of it, it means I'm well. If you say ça va super bien, that means I am really well. Ça va mal means I'm not very well. Como, como, which it can mean how or what. Pas mal, not bad, okay. Comme si, comme si, comme ça is so. Bof is something to say if you're not really bothered. Okay, salut is hi. Don't really use it with everyone. You will use it with somebody you're really familiar with, like really close, okay? Bonjour is hello, good morning. It can also be used to say good day. Fatigue means tired, and you put an extra E if you're describing somebody who is a feminine person. Okay, malad is ill. Okay, now for malad, if you use it with je, that means if you say I'm malad, so I'm malad, am will be je suis, I am, then only you will use malad. If you want to say like over here sava, with sava I am mal, then you will use mal. Okay, you should keep that in mind. Now stress, it means stressed out, and we put an extra e to describe that we are talking about somebody who is feminine. Triste means sad, pourquoi means why, pasika means because, tre means very, merci means thank you or thanks. For merci we don't have anything like, we use it with somebody who is like, equal, younger, closer, not like that. We can use it with everyone. Aujourd'hui is today, et toi et vous is and you. Toi is for somebody who is really close, or you can use an informal form and that person is singular. Vous is for somebody who is plural. Let's suppose talking to a group of people, as if, let's suppose I'm talking to a classroom. Okay, so you're going to use vous, and vous can also be used to talk to somebody who is formal, like who is elder to you or you don't know. If you want to know more about it, watch my previous video. Bon means really. So, oh, really? Okay. Now, fait un sondage, parlez à 10 personnes, écrit un nom et coche le bon symbole pour chaque personne. So it means do a survey, speak to 10 people, write a name, and take the correct symbol for each person. And then there's a note. Before you speak, listen again to the recording and notice how the speakers raise their voice when they ask a question. This is the easiest way to ask a question. Practice this with the question words in the vocabulary list, and then try to do the same when you do your survey. So basically in French, it also depends on the pitch. That means if you have to use those interrogating rules of French. We haven't studied about that yet, but we will, of course. So you don't really have to do all of that stuff. Grammatically, if you just raise your voice, that by voice I mean you raise your pitch, as in like ça va, so that means the person will automatically understand that you're asking him or her a question. Okay, now we don't have to talk or talk to 10 people, all of that, but we can of course read the conversation as an example. Example is example in French. Okay, now salut Sophie, salut, ça va bien, et toi? So she says I am good. That person, whoever it is, so Sophie is happy, blah blah. Okay, yeah, because Sophie is B, because that's why that person says salut Sophie. Okay, now lis les conversations et trouve la différence dans la dernière ligne. Explique la différence étant partenaire. Read the conversations below and find the difference in the last line. Explain the difference to your partners. You have to do this as in partner. So right now I am your partner in this video, alright? So Lucas says salut Justin, ça va? Justin says ça va merci Lucas, et toi? Lucas says ça va mal. Ah bon, pourquoi? Parce que je suis fatigué, because I am sick, okay, or I'm not doing well. Meva, salut Abdou, ça va? Ça va merci Meva, et toi? Ça va mal. Ah bon, pourquoi? Parce que je suis fatigué. Parce que, again, we learned previously, it means because. Now, what's the difference between the last line? As I told you, here I can see we don't have an extra e, whereas I can see we have an extra e over here. So I've already written the answer. That here we're talking about somebody who's female, and here we're talking about somebody who's male. Because Lucas is a male person, Meva is a female, right? Now, we don't really need to do this, because as you can see that this lesson is really, short. We can also cover the second lesson in this video. Alright, so lesson 2, which says je suis moi, I am me. So objectives for this lesson would be to describe myself and other people and make negative sentences. I'm not really going to talk about negative sentences in this video because we already discussed them in detail in my previous video. So we're going to only do the first objective. Okay, now using the verb être, we already discussed it in my first video and in this video as well, so we don't really need to do that. Negative sentences, we already did it, but as a short thing, we wrap it around the conjugated word. We wrap ne and pas, which are the negative things. These two words are like really always used to negative things or negative sentences, so we wrap these two words around the conjugated verb. So I'll give you an example. If I say je suis bavard. Bavard means chatty or talkative. Okay, now if I have to negate it, I see that this is my conjugated verb, so I'm gonna wrap my ne and pas around it. So je ne suis pas bavard. Now this rule is gonna be same for every kind of sentence. So negating is like the easiest thing you can ever do in French. So people usually score full in this section like me. Alright. Also, if let's suppose if I say j'aime manger. Okay, yeah, manger. Now over here you can see it's I've put an apostrophe because we have some vowels clashing and the pronunciation crashing. So what we do is we're gonna join the pronunciation. That means we're not gonna still say j'aime, we're gonna say j'aime, okay, as if it's one word. So j'aime manger. Manger means to eat. So I and aimer means to like or to love. So I like or I love to eat. Now here I can see I have two verbs. So did I conjugate both of them according to je? No. It's a rule in French that we only conjugate the verb which is extremely or literally next to the pronoun. Okay, so over here I can see aimer is next to the pronoun, so we're going to only conjugate that bit. Okay, so I don't have to wrap ne and pa around both of them. I'm only going to wrap them around aim. So I'm going to have my e back because I'm not having aime after it. So je n'aime pas manger. Alright, and here we have the e gone for now because of course vowel slashing and pronunciation crashing. Okay, now of course notice how any changes to n when the verb starts with a vowel. Okay, asking what somebody is like. So tu es como, what are you like? Il ou elle est como means what is he or she like. Remember, your voice must again go up and sound like a question. Even if you in word and do all the interrogation and you don't increase your pitch to make it sound like a question, it won't be a question. So it's really necessary, right? So by what do you like, person usually describes himself or herself. Okay, now this is a listen and read activity. We cannot do the listening text, but of course we can discuss the meaning of them after we are going to do our vocabulary, right? So let's discuss the vocabulary first and then we'll go to the exercises bit. Okay, now sympa is friendly, nice, or it can also mean sympathetic. Drôle is funny. Intelligent is intelligent, and intelligent with an extra e is for like describing feminine person. Also, I'm gonna tell you something, that if a word in French ends in in a t, s, or d, do not pronounce the last letter. For example, over here, if I don't put a e, if it's this, I'm not gonna pronounce the t over here. I'm just gonna say intelligent. Okay, but if I of course put e after my t like this, okay, and there's no bracket, of course, it's like a whole word, so then I'm going to pronounce my t but not the e, of course, so it's going to be intelligente, right? So if it's the rule for t, s, and d only. Okay, now reasonable means sensible or reasonable. Impatient means impatient, and if you put an extra e, it's for a feminine person. Timid is shy. For timid, we already have an e, and it's the same for masculine and feminine. Bavard with an e is for feminine, without an e for masculine. It means chatty or talkative. Parasu means lazy. We put an extra euse for a feminine person. Je pense que is a very, very popular phrase in French, which means I think that. C'est vrai, it is true. C'est faux, it is false, or it's wrong. C'est means it is. Okay, Amo avi, it's in my opinion. Pas du tout, not at all. Un peu, a little or a little bit. So if you want to say I speak a little bit of French, you can say il parle un peu français. I speak a little bit of français. French, sorry. Assez means quite. Trop means too much. Mais means but. Aussi means also. A is and. It's a very important vocabulary, and I would seriously suggest you all to probably take a screenshot or write them all in your notebook. Okay, now coming to this part. Mano is simple. That means Mano is friendly. Feli e drôle. Drôle means funny. That means Felix is funny. Justin est intelligente. Justin is intelligent. Meva est bavard. Meva is talking about chatty. Abdu est timide. Abdu is shy. Nicola is reasonable. Nicola is reasonable, or she's sensible. I mean, sorry, he or she, whatever. Here we don't have any extra E for feminine or masculine, so we don't really know Nicola's is feminine or masculine. But I think it's a he. I mean, he's a feminine. Masculine. Luca est intelligent et paresseux. So it means Lucas is intelligent and lazy. Sophie est impatient. That means Sophie is impatient. Now, over here, écoutez encore et corrige les erreurs de l'exercice 1. Croisez les adjectives dans la liste. Listen again and correct the mistakes in exercise 1. Choose the adjectives from the list. That means all the false sentences are written over here, and we have to write the correct adjectives for them. That means because here Justin est intelligente, that means it's false. That means what is Justin then? Right? So we're gonna answer them. Again, we don't know what's correct, so we're just gonna look at the meanings because I've already written the answers, so it can be helpful. Justin est bavard, that means Justin is chatty or talkative. Nicola est impatient, that means Nicola is impatient. Meva est reasonable, Meva is sensible or reasonable. Sophie est intelligente, which means Sophie is intelligent. Now, we don't need to do this. Okay, you need to be able to use adjectives correctly and describe what someone is not like as well as what they are like. When you learn the words in the vocabulary list, also learn which ones change their endings. Using the words in exercise 4 is a good way to improve a piece of writing. So make sure you include some of these in your work. Alright, so we're gonna... we don't really have to do this one. We can go to 5th one. So lis le texte, associe les phrases soulignées avec les phrases en anglais. So read the text, match the underlined phrases with the phrases in English. Anglais is English. Avec is with. Okay? Now, first we'll read the phrase. Salut, je m'appelle Gwen. Je pense que je suis très intelligente et raisonnable. Je ne suis pas du tout timide. Voici Peter et mon avis est sympa et assez intelligent aussi, mais il est trop impatient. That they're talking about the Amazing Spider-Man characters. That's pretty interesting, right? Now, what you have to do is we have to write their translation, the translation of this English in French using this text. Now, very intelligent is très intelligente. Where is it? Okay, we're gonna cut that. All right. Now, I've already written the answers, but still, in my opinion, is a more avi. That, in my opinion, he is sympathetic and also very intelligent. Okay, now too impatient, trop impatient is very impatient, or too impatient, of course. Quite intelligent too. That's assez intelligent aussi. So quite and too intelligent, of course, we know it, right? As the name suggests. I think that je pense que very easy, right? Now, not at all shy, pas du tout timide. Okay, but of course me, right? Over here. But he is very or too impatient, okay? Now, okay, yes, this is not really necessary, but if you want, you can do it as your homework. So you have to write another paragraph about yourself and one of your friends. That's pretty interesting, right? And then you can write that right, I mean, show them in the comment section or show it to your friends. They'll be quite happy to see what you have wrote about them, right? Now in this one you have to work in pairs and describe these characters. So if you want, and if you have a friend who is like, a fan of Disney, you can go and teach them French and then do this activity with them. Interesting, right? So yes, this is all for this video. I hope everything was clear, and if you have any doubts still, please feel free to write them in the comment sections. I was really good to teach all of you, and I'll see you all in my next video. Till then, take care and bye bye.